Council meeting for December 20th, 2022 is now in session. Roll call.
Mayor Cicerillo.
Here.
Councilmember Stamm.
Here.
Councilmember Evans.
Here.
Councilmember Bass.
Here.
Councilmember Anderson. Councilmember Gregory.
Here.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
Here.
Councilmember Wilson.
Here.
Councilmember Colbert.
Here.
Please rise for the invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for the opportunity to be in this town. Thank you that your favor is upon it. I ask, Lord God, that you give these men and women who lead this town discernment and wisdom as they make these choices. Thank you for your son and his birth, that we have good tidings of great joy for all the people. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 4, approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Excuse me. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6, administration agenda A, city council meeting minutes from
December 6th.
December 6th.
You're gone.
Motion to approve the minutes of the December 6th, 2022 regular council meeting as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you very much. All right. There are no presentations or proclamations. So at this time, I will open the meeting up to the public forum. This is the time that anybody here that would like to speak to an item that is not on the agenda. Seeing none, I'll move on to appointments. Appointments for item A, Economic Development Board. Ben Anderson, Ron Colbert, Tim Hoffman are all reappointments, and Brendan McGinnigan is a new appointment. All terms will expire in December of 2024.
We can do all those in one motion.
I would say.
All right, then item for B, Public Properties and Out. Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's,
A and
different
B.
boards.
yeah, well, okay.
I'm sorry, I wasn't.
I always
That's,
meant the people all in one. So
yes,
motion to approve recommended people for the economic board.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the Economic Development Board appointees. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. That was a tough one, Ron. I wasn't sure they were going to let you stay.
He had his opportunity to leave.
All right, for item B, the Public Properties and Outdoor Spaces Boards, these are all reappointments. Roger Stewart, Tina Payne, and Larry Hopemeyer. All, huh? Is that how you pronounce it? Hopemeyer? Terms expiring in January of 2025.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
A motion is second to approve the appointments for the Public Properties and Outdoor Spaces Board. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you. We have no old business. So we'll move along to new business. Item A, approval of CHIP 2022-01 application.
Good evening, everyone. It is with great pleasure that I present to you the very first, the inaugural CHIP application. Again, this is the Commercial Housing Incentive Program. This is geared towards anyone that buys or builds new multifamily housing, that own it and operate it. They cannot live there. It has to be for rental property. And so this application is the application of Iron Gate Properties. As you see on the property map, again, the applicant is Iron Gate Properties. They purchased this from the builder in September. This shows a map of the almost completed development. It does consist of 2 duplexes, 3 triplexes, and the application is submitted as well in the in the council agenda this evening, as long as a copy of the the real estate purchase agreement that was signed by David and Lacey Gilmore representing Iron Gate Properties. There is one slight change as we were calculating when the years of abatement would be. Again, with the CHIP program, this is an abatement for 3 years. This is 100% of the city portion of general property taxes. So it's not everything, it's just the city portion, 100% of that for 3 tax years. And what we'd like to do is start that on the year that the first full appraised value for the property shows up on the tax records. We do the same thing for the residential HIP program, the housing incentive program. We always start that on the first year that full appraised value shows up. And so rather than recommending 2022 through 2024, staff is recommending 2023 through 2025. That will give a better incentive to the owner of this new multifamily development. Stand for any questions. If you do approve this evening, then the mayor will sign the application at the bottom. That's also included in the packet where it says Valley Center Mayor signature. And then what will happen is all of the CHIP applications, again, this is the first one, the HIP and the CHIP, all of those applications are reviewed annually after the second property tax payment is due in May. And so my office, what I do is towards the end of May, go through and make sure that everyone that is enrolled in the program is current in their payment of property taxes, and then generate a list that is sent to the finance department. The finance department then mails out checks. Again, 100% of the city portion of property taxes is mailed either in late May, early June, and this will follow that same pattern. We've emailed back and forth, but never met. So that's right. Absolutely.
Council, do we have any questions?
Motion to approval of CHIP 2022-01 and award the appropriate tax rebates to Iron Gate Properties LLC for the property tax year 2023 through 2025.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item B, signature card update.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. With the recent departure of our city treasurer, we need to update our city signature cards with our banking institutions. So we're up to date and on track with our audit. For when they come and perform that in March for this fiscal year. All this is doing is updating the signers, removing our former treasurer, and then these will once again be re-updated when we get someone hired on and trained up. And we'll add them back to the signature cards at that time.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
Just for clarification, the 3 individuals that are being recommended were already on there,
Correct.
and we're just removing. Okay.
Unfortunately, you can't just remove a signature from a signature card. You have to submit new ones.
That brand new ones
Yep.
at a time. Yep.
At least we know for next time.
Yeah, and there's no dig to the 2 bankers that are working in there, sit on this council.
It used to be a lot worse.
Yes, it was.
I've seen a lot worse.
It is true. It is true.
Motion to approve Mayor Lou Cicerello, Council President Ben Anderson, and Assistant City Administrator Barry Smith as designated signers for all city bank accounts.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? I do want to make one comment, just so for the clarity, in case people don't know. Council President Anderson is actually the one that gets to sign these things. I do not sign. I am a backup to the backup. That you'll see that signatures are actually performed by Councilmember Anderson. So just everybody knows, that's how that really works.
Just for clarification, so he's the primary, then who's the primary?
So we're all technically
Yeah,
primaries.
there's no primary.
And
Yeah, but
contact for the
I'm just
city,
saying, I don't, yeah.
But we still need Lou's signature for the facsimile signature for the.
Oh, that's
stamp,
fine. I just-
and then
Yeah.
Bid and
Just
signs
curious
at
is
that
all.
time.
So,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, the things, he signs pretty much everything. And then if there's required for a second signature, Councilmember Anderson does. So I don't sign unless it's absolutely necessary. So, or it just takes my stamp, like, so.
Facsimile signatures.
Yeah. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item C, approval of electrical service to 85th and Broadway.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. With Mr. Neil Owens taking some much needed vacation, I am presenting this on his behalf. So before you is actually a change that we put on your desks there. Is a total price of actually $15,455 versus the $14,900. That is just with the price increase that the quote was, at least 35 or 45 days old, and so these were the increases from when we actually requested the quote. Material prices, and so it was really just material prices that they had to pass on to us that they bought that they pay for from their manufacturer. So, unfortunately, increased a little bit with our time that it took to get 3 quotes. Just increased a little bit on this. Stand for any questions?
Councilmember Gregory.
I was curious about why it took so long for us to get these. October 6th, was that when they were due?
And so we didn't send out a formal bid packet. I think we got quotes, didn't we?
I
on
don't
this?
know. It just says the city has considered the bid submitted by you for the work, the above described work as submitted October 6th.
Yep. And so we just
2022.
had met with contractors and received 2 quotes. We had 3 that we met, but only 2 of them provided actual bids and quotes for it. So it wasn't a formal RFP. Once we received those, I think one took a little bit longer than the other. And then also our decision making, looking at the budget.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
Any idea why there's a big difference between the Decker and the Shelley Electric?
We just see that on a lot of quotes
Everything?
that we receive from,
All right.
from the 2 different companies.
Um,
And it's comparing apples to apples, so the same light fixture.
Shelley Electric has been around for a while.
Yep, they've done a tremendous amount of work for us during the wastewater treatment plant renovations and other projects throughout the community.
All right, sounds good.
So they are reputable.
Do I have a
Yes,
motion?
I agree. This is still high. I can't change it.
I make a motion to accept the low bid for electrical services from Shelby Electric for a total price of $15,455.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you.
Mayor, real quick, since we're on that subject of that sign, do we have a time frame as to when the rest of the materials are going to be picked up from behind that sign? They've been.
It was today, Councilman. Wait,
Well,
that's quick action.
well,
I
I-
appreciate that.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
that's just for you, Councilmember Wilson. Actually, we had been receiving quite a few calls and emails as well, and so we actually were holding the material there because it's the same one that's going to be used for the sign on Ford and Broadway, but with of course working with Evergy or Evergy telling us what to do. We haven't been able to place the sign in the location originally described. So
Very good.
I'll keep it at that.
Thank you.
I can go on for a while, Mayor, but that's not a topic on tonight's agenda.
You go on forever regardless. The approval of employee handbook.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It is really with pleasure, excitement, enthusiasm that I get to stand before you and present a really well done 2023 personnel policy manual, or our personnel policy manual that we've all been working extremely hard on. I do apologize. I'm about a year behind on getting a final product actually before you. I told the staff that we were working on it for the last few years, and honestly, I blinked and I don't know where 2021 went. Still looking for 2021. So if anybody finds it, let me know. But this is really a collaboration between all the employees. Our previous one, the one that was passed December 18th of 2018, this one here is well done. All 34 pages, well written by attorneys that we did contract out. This one here is truly a personnel policy manual. This is the employees put in their hard work, especially Christy and Barry and all of our department heads We actually sat in this very room for a few hours after a department head meeting and went through it and discussed almost every big topic item. This is a personnel policy manual that I can stand behind. This is what you see in other communities, not only in this region, but also, in the 2 states that I've now have had the pleasure of being the city administrator in. And so, we are a place that, we are one of the best places to call home. And we also want to be, the best place to work. That includes employee retention, employee attraction, and really having a good policy manual is something that goes into that decision-making process when somebody is thinking about joining our team and joining our family here with the City of Valley Center. And so, while we're trying to retain everybody and attract folks, we do have openings. So a quick shameless plug. Go to our website at valleycenterks.org, scroll down to the bottom to jobs, and we do have some available. I'll stand for questions.
Council, any questions? Councilmember Wilson.
I'm going to jump in here first, I guess. I would like to table this discussion for a period of time to review this a little bit further. I feel like that you all had done an excellent job on it. It is very detailed. Not used to seeing something so detailed in an employee handbook. So I would like to review it. I do have some suggestions that I might make in the future. One would be making it a little bit easier to be revisable. In this case, the way it's set up, you make a revision, it could easily push the pages out to a longer length. Therefore, basically having to redo the whole document. Whereas if we can kind of section it up a little bit where it can be revised a little bit easier, not having to reprint the whole thing, even though it's all electronic, some people may want it printed. So just one of the suggestions that I see. So, but yeah, I would like to, my suggestion is we table this for a period of time. I'm looking at 1 month to maybe review this at that time.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
I'm okay with that idea. I do have a couple questions now's as good a time as any, or if we're going to table it, I guess we can talk later or.
And I would advise strongly against tabling it. That document is locked for a reason for you to format it. So then I can keep an actual, true original copy. Since it is, 72 pages, I want to make sure that somebody doesn't change something in the middle of a document that I can't see or tell. And so Councilmember Wilson, that's why it's set up that way for formatting. So then we can see where those changes are. Also, too, this does really fall in line nicely with the beginning of the calendar year. With the way that we're set up and per calendar year, it's a lot easier to calculate when it comes to the vacation accruals, sick time, all of those things, as well as the pay periods. And so, I would really strongly, recommend to make a decision on this tonight. We did send this out ahead of time with a clickable PDF that was easy to navigate.
So
Okay.
let's do this. Councilmember Wilson, if you want to do this, let's see it, make a motion and see if it goes.
I'd like to make a motion that we table this discussion for a period of 30 days at the
Second meeting.
second meeting from today's date's meeting
In January.
in January, correct?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Barring listening to the city administrator's comments, I will take that into my head. And I will now call all in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion fails 4-3. Okay. So now we're back on the main subject. So Councilmember Kerstetter, would you like to bring up your questions?
Absolutely. All right.
Alrighty.
Section. Let me go back to where chapter I'm in.
Or page number.
Oh, the page number is 16.
16?
16, 15A. In accordance with applicable laws, city manager may search, review, or inspect any of the following without prior notice: any personal property, including vehicles. Mr. Arbuckle, is there any reason why let me back back up a second. The including vehicles part is what is capturing me. Is there any legal reason why we should not have that in there?
Sorry, these mics haven't been picking up very well.
Oh, perfect. No, that's fine. Right. Because my opinion or my thought is if there's any illegal activity in someone's vehicle, then we should be calling law enforcement, whether it be Valley Center PD or sheriff.
Well, a search, I would think would involve law enforcement, although we wouldn't have to, I suppose we could.
Didn't say that.
Sections are
I'm looking
section.
at section 15. You said 16A. Did you mean 15A?
I meant 15A. I'm sorry. Yes. So 15A is talking about searching vehicles. And then on C, the subsection C, it talks about all searches must be authorized by department director and city administrator. So it doesn't include law enforcement.
That's true. I would think the second area where we're talking about computers and mail, internet, things that are city property and city owned and city controlled, I would think there'd be no question about.
Right, like in
that
a person's
section.
office, yes. I agree. My concern is the vehicles.
Okay,
If it's
with
not, if
respect-
it's personal vehicle
Okay,
is,
with respect to personal vehicles, it says within applicable laws, the law does recognize under, I think the case is Chambers versus Maroney, the fact that a vehicle is movable, and the law does allow, I think, more discretion to law enforcement to search those without a search warrant.
Okay.
So, and it's on city property also. So I think, again, I didn't draw this, but I trust that the attorneys that did have looked into that, and they're convinced that's properly within the city employer's authority. That it's on the city property. And again, there's an exception to, in a residence, for instance, you normally have to have a search warrant to search a resident.
Right.
Law enforcement person, because vehicles are movable and evidence can be moved or lost because of that. There's not the same protection afforded to vehicles as there is a resident. So I assume that the attorneys that looked at this and drew that up, believe that was proper use of the city's search powers.
okay, so I guess my concern is still the city manager that is not law enforcement
Mhm.
searching somebody's vehicle. That's where my concern is, and opening us up for any litigation. So that's where my concern is. If there's any, and I'm not saying it's not, I just don't,
Well, here's part of the discussion. It says city management. He's a department head.
Right.
He's part of city management.
but he's also law enforcement.
Right. But it says that the searches would have to be authorized by whoever the department head is and the city administrator. It doesn't say the department head and the city administrator is going to be doing the searching.
It doesn't say they are.
Yeah, true.
Combined to this policy, so there's civil, there's criminal. I mean, talking about involving law enforcement, we would get involved if there was something criminal. And then there would be a higher level or a higher standard for us to meet for criminal.
Mhm.
That's not necessarily referring to criminal. City, I would sure, if it led to criminal charges, then we would certainly be involved in that. Probably cause all kinds of other things.
Okay. Well, so I think yeah, sort of. I just don't want to open us up to unnecessary litigation. And I agree, if inside a person's office or desk, that's separate, but my concern is with the person's vehicle. Okay, even though they're parked in the parking lot, that's where my concern is. Okay. So that's where my concern is. Hey.
Criminal law, so.
Yeah, just state your name. Yeah, for the record.
Gilmore, I'm also part of Iron Gate Properties. My head, I know one is 205 South Allen.
That'll work.
Um,
That'll work.
All right. So when you're talking about vehicles, he's right. There are exigent circumstances, and the mobility of a vehicle provides the exigency that can get away from the warrant requirement for a law enforcement. When you're talking about houses, the standard is much higher. It's much more, you have a higher expectation of privacy. The problem you get into is if you've got a vehicle on city property, whether it belongs to the city or not, you're leaving open the possibility that the person that vehicle was assigned to can challenge any search that's done by anyone, be it city administrators or department heads or law enforcement. Because let's say city administrator does a search, finds something, calls law enforcement, then you're going to have the argument from any defendant that, well, they didn't have any right to go in there and search. These are my personal belongings. So if that is something that you want to leave in there, the best way to shore that up to make it stronger, if you will, would be to have that an expectation just up front, kind of like schools do. A lot of the elementary schools, high schools, middle schools, they have provisions which have been upheld by the Supreme Court that say we can search anything within our schools. We can search your backpack, we can search your locker, we can have dogs through here. I think you could draw an analogy there because it is the city who would own the city vehicles or the property that's being used.
I'm talking personal vehicles that are in the.
I think personal vehicles, you're going to have a lot harder time because you have this expectation of privacy. I know I will tell you in the schools, they do have the ability, if you're on that property, to search whatever, to search your car, to search your person. But you're going to run into a situation where the city may not have authority without some sort of, you're going to have a rational basis for the search. You can't just, hey guys, we're doing random searches this week.
Right. That's my concern.
I think it's definitely a valid concern. The safest option would be, of course, city vehicles. Or if they're using their personal vehicle for city business and then being reimbursed with mileage, something like that. There has to be some connection to city business to have the authority there to even exercise that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I appreciate your input. Yep.
I don't know that we could in this, and should in something like this, plan some type of an exemption or put something in this that would prevent the city employee from suing the city or something like it, because it wouldn't be upheld. I mean, and anybody with a filing fee and a lawyer that wants to file a lawsuit can do so, and you can't contract around that. So I don't have a problem with leaving that in here because I trust that the lawyers that did this and, knew what they were doing and left this in there and felt it was proper use of the city's authority.
If it's a major issue, let's go ahead and just strike it out.
Okay. Perfect.
So, we can remove 15 subsection A bullet point 1, or the first bullet point, and strike it. There we go. It's removed.
We don't want to take out city.
No.
Nope. We just said first bullet point. Next question.
All
Good
right.
question.
I got to find it. I don't have the fancy tabs like Gina does.
No problem. Take your time.
Yeah, my guess might be kind of short. There's one that I remember. Bilingual or translation pay. I like the idea. Okay. My only question is how are we going to track it?
On a timesheet.
On a timesheet?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep,
All right.
timesheet. So discuss that with Ms. Crithers, and we
Okay.
have that
All right.
process figured out.
Perfect. Sweet. All right. No, and like I said, I like the idea. Then now comes to chapter 12, holidays.
Yes.
I know I'm not the only one with questions here. So right now, right now, as it stands, there's 9 paid holidays, and you want to go to 11.
Yes. We're adding 2.
Right.
The Martin Luther King Jr. Day and Juneteenth.
Okay, so instead of adding 2 days, could we do 2 floating holidays? Where the employee chooses whenever they want to use those. And the basis for that is, in my mind, is customer service. that being available for the dues for whoever might come in the door, basically.
And so at one point, the city did have some floating holidays, and that was not necessarily an easy way to track for folks using those, and it just wasn't an easy payroll accounting process. Now, we could absolutely try to look into that. Those are, we didn't adopt or didn't try to do all the federal holidays, of course. These are holidays that, most financial institutions are closed, most government buildings, post offices. So I think it's kind of standard. Folks know that a lot of government buildings are closed during these specific holidays, especially with Juneteenth being now, nationally recognized. Most cities around this area have adopted that as a paid holiday.
But I'm just giving you my input as far as
absolutely.
my thought would be. My preference would be 2 floating holidays instead. So then I go on to page 41.
Mhm.
Under sick leave, A, bullet point 3, excuse me. What is computer sick leave?
Yep.
What's the purpose of it?
Compute. Sorry. Typo.
Oh. Okay.
So actually, yep. Somebody caught that, and just when you
All right.
still when you have 50 employees look at it, there's still some of the grammar things that are just good to miss. So
All
I do
right.
apologize on that, and the grammar things will be fixing.
Okay. Sure.
When we were talking about the holidays,
Mhm.
we're gaining 2, but to make up for that, we would lose the ability for someone to get a wellness day for not using sick leave the year prior.
Oh,
That was part of why,
well, in
a give
that
and take, so.
in that example, I would be okay with doing 3 floating holidays, and instead of 2. Anyway, I'm going to move on so we can keep going. Next page, 42, accrual payout of sick leave.
Yes.
I have not actually ever heard of this. If I have, it's been so long. I've heard of vacation payout, but not sick leave payout.
Yes, this was another actual recommendation by myself. This is something that I've seen in other communities that I've actually been in. Not to 15,000, back
That also seems high.
actually 13,000 is what I had passed in the last community back in 2017, and so I figured with inflation, we bumped that to 15 since
Well,
taxes come out a
Right
little
now
higher.
it's 0.
And
correct?
so, yes, right now it's at 0. This is another one of those employee retention and components of things that cities can't offer some of the benefits that the private sector can. And so this is another one of those tools that we have to use in our toolbox to try to retain really good talent. They can make more money going to the private sector. Everyone knows that. I mean, even with the increases that we have had, that's just a fact. But some of those things that we can offer are, sick leave payout, vacation payout, different accruals and vacation, a little bit more family-friendly atmosphere, flexibility when it comes to schedules, those types of things. So this was a recommendation, by myself as city administrator that I've seen done not only in communities I've been in, but also communities around this region.
So another fact is you're less likely to get laid off when you're at a government entity.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, it's less likely. Anyway, I'm going to move on. So
I think it's a attendance issue.
it's sorry, what?
Attendance issue, people mark it on a given day, but if they don't work,
Yeah.
they should-
Yep. Okay. And
What Mr. Arbuckle said is utilizing sick leave for sick and not abusing sick leave. Sorry,
Well,
Barry wanted to say it in the microphone.
I like that incentive idea.
The state does it.
State does this one. Okay. For that amount.
I don't remember.
Okay. That amount's got me, but we can somehow budget that. I'm sure Mr. Smith can crunch some numbers, but yeah. I'm not sure if that's the last one because I was looking through this and I think that was the last one. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Good questions.
Councilmember Stam.
Being from two different governments, Salina and Derby, this is pretty much basic for every town I've been in. This is pretty comparable to Derby. As far as the 15A you're wanting taken away, that was in both of the other policies we had. We actually had a situation in Salina where he was not supposed to have a gun on city property and the guy had a gun in his car. So that's how that got taken care of. He got fired because it said no guns on property and someone walked by and he was laying in the seat. So I like it being in there just for that reason. I mean, you never know what the person might have. And again, they're on city property. So everything's a go. As far as the vacation, I think floating holidays would be a hassle because you're going to, if you got Ryan's team, they all went off on the same holiday or floating. Then he's got to pick and choose. Okay, you guys go this year, you guys go next year. We get 13 holidays in Derby. So we still get more than they're getting. And like Brent said, we don't get mid-season bonuses, incentive bonuses, Christmas bonuses. So you got to sweep the pot in other ways, which is incentives and benefits. I think it's good.
Councilmember Bass.
Yeah, that sick leave buyout piece is very commonplace in the federal, or it is commonplace in the federal government. So it's something that all layers of government, I think, you see. And it does prevent abuse of sick leave, and I've seen that firsthand. So, I got my main question is, have we compared this, and I guess we got one comparison here to other communities around us to see if this is competitive with those other communities?
Yes.
It is competitive.
Yep. And actually, back in 2018, when the other one was being drafted and everything, our amazing city clerk had done a lot of legwork in comparing handbooks and looking, word for word, and was maybe not necessarily heard as well as our city employees are now when it comes to the way that our professional team can draft these types of agreements. Nothing against consultants. I always want to, or attorneys, but that's why you hire professionals, to lead your city, and we have great department directors that I have full faith in and ability to prepare documents such as this.
The ability to attract and retain good employees in government is difficult. So we have to do what it takes to attract and retain those good employees. That's my 2 cents.
Anybody else at this point? Since there's been conversation about 16A, first bullet item on both sides, I'm going to entertain a motion to remove that as opposed to just letting it get stricken since there was opposite discussion on that. So is there a motion to strike sections, what chapter is that? 15. A first bullet point.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to drop that item. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-2. So moving on, if there's no further discussion, are we going to have a motion on the handbook now, with the revised handbook?
Make a motion to approve the employee handbook as revised. Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-1.
Thank you, everybody.
Moving on to the consent agenda.
There we are.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you. We'll move on to staff reports. Mr. Schrack.
Just first, on behalf of my department, thank you very much for approving the new handbook. Secondly, Very exciting event coming up in January. Mark your calendars for January 12th. That is a Thursday at 6:30 p.m. at La Venue. Our Main Street Valley Center group will have their annual reception, annual meeting, and we'll be talking about our accomplishments of 2022 and our goals of 2023. As a special guest to this meeting, we have invited the Lions Club to join us and talk about how our two organizations can better partner together on different community projects and initiatives. But it is open up to everyone in the public. So again, that's January 12th at 6:30 at La Venue. So if you can make it, we'd love to have you there. And then lastly, I hope everyone has a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
Chief Newman.
I didn't have anything, but wanted to echo Mr. Schrack on behalf of my employees. Thank you for passing that. Wish you all a Merry Christmas.
Mr. Eggleston.
Again, I'd like to say thank you as well. So we've been talking about employees. We've been in search for some employees for the Public Works Department for quite some time now. One individual, his name is Albert Carlock, started today or yesterday in the Public Works. And like everything else, we will get his bio put together and here in a couple of weeks, try to get that into the newsletter. We've also been able to bring on a new water wastewater operator. He will be starting the 27th, Dalton Steinman. He comes with some good experience in water wastewater, as well as he is a certified CDL instructor. So he may be able to help us in those areas. And then I've realized I've been a little bit remiss on updating you on some of the projects. So I took a little drive today and talked to some inspectors. And as you know, Brent's usually really good at updating me on Ford Street. Ford Street, the base for the underground culvert for drainage in front of the apartments, it's poured. It's still look a little wet out there, but they got the blankets on there. They're moving along. We have concrete curb and gutter on the south side of Ford all the way to the top of the hill. They got a good real base on the north side. It's coming along. They're also doing quite a bit of concrete work. They're pouring concrete on the Seneca intersection on the south side of the Seneca intersection today. Arbor Valley. I took a drive out to Arbor Valley. The water line, all the water line work is complete. They passed all their water tests. It's tied into Ford. Stormwater's all done. They're working on grading and paving. And then they'll get ready for asphalt as weather coming up. That's going to be up in the air as to when they get that. Cedar Ridge. Let's see what good PEC inspector. Water line 1, all the water lines have been complete at Cedar Ridge. They've tied into Ford. They haven't pressure tested or done testing on that. That's yet to be done. They've got most of the stormwater's complete. They still need to redo some grading on the ditch along Seneca. They plan to move that water to the north and back down through the drains down toward the big ditch. Cedar Hill Boulevard, I was able to drive that today. They have a very good rock base rolled on there. That's been a well job on that. You can run up that thing pretty well. They're almost done. They were almost to the last part of the cul-de-sacs at the top of the hill. They're getting real close to asphalt again. It was scheduled to be started on Thursday. Again, with the weather coming up, that's not going to happen. So that's going to be up in the air. And with that, that's about it.
He just finished. Councilmember Kerstetter has a question.
Yes, sir.
Actually, I have a request. Could we get pictures of like the Ford Street updates on social media?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Nice. Thanks, Luke. Sometimes you don't hear it.
We'll work
I
on
saw
that.
it.
Any other questions?
Thank you, sir. Mr. Shear. Thank you. Mr. Arbuckle. Mr. Smith. Mr. Clark.
Good evening again. First, want to thank you for approving the personnel handbook. Really do appreciate it, and it will really go to continue on the the positive morale and atmosphere that we've really started here on relighting the fire underneath everybody as we continue to move out of the COVID phase and into the new normal. Also, too, want to wish you all a happy holiday season. And during that holiday season, not only do we have Christmas and New Year's and all those things, but we have a very special birthday of our very own Mayor Lou Cicerello. Go ahead, you smash it. Is happening next Friday, December 30th. And so
It's next Friday?
next Friday, yep,
Oh,
reminder,
geez.
make sure you set that alarm on you. I know you're getting,
Man.
but happy early birthday and hope you have a fantastic holiday.
So
season.
I will share something else with you. That is also my wedding anniversary.
Is it really?
Yes, it is.
Wow, well played.
You forget the
Not really. Well, positive is that I never forget my anniversary. So that's, but it was a date only because of the way things worked out. So just
Oh, and I did also want to do a quick comment because I keep getting a lot of feedback on the app. And so, yes, we are aware there's still an Apple problem with going through the Apple. If you have an Apple platform, the new updates have made it to where you cannot go directly from the app to make a payment on your utility account. However, with your iPhone, which go ahead, Barry. He's an Android guy, and so he gives me a hard time about Apple all the time. On the Apple phone, though, you can go into just your browser onto our website and still make a payment just fine. I don't know why that is. No one can answer the question. But so just through the app, you can't do it, but just go onto our website on your phone and you can still make a payment. Sorry about that, and we're trying to fix it, but Apple.
Just switch to
We actually
Android.
will get quicker response from Apple than the railroad. Have a great season.
true.
That iOS update has also affected banks
Thank you.
on their mobile deposits and imaging. It's a big mess.
It is.
Oh, great. I haven't tried my mobile deposit with the new version.
It's
So.
a mess for Apple.
Just switch to Android.
Androids are good.
All right, moving to governing body reports. Got some items here from the League of Kansas Municipalities, upcoming events. January 25th, 2023 in Topeka is Local Government Day. April 14th to the 15th in Hayes is their Leadership Summit. And October 7th to the 9th next year is the League's annual conference and trade show, which will be held here in Wichita. So I would encourage everybody on this governing body to plan on attending. It is worthwhile. You don't have to worry about hotel rooms. It'll be here. And you do learn stuff. It's really, it's a good thing to do. So with that, I will wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we'll see everybody next year, I guess. So Councilmember Stam,
I have nothing.
Councilmember Evans.
I just wanted to also say thank you to everybody. It's been one heck of a year. I've seen some really great things happen. So please tell all your members thank you as well. And I wish everybody a happy holidays.
Councilmember Bass.
Just been an exciting year first year on the council, so I appreciate you all having me and wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year's.
Guess you're not a rookie anymore. All right.
Come January.
Come January, right. Next meeting, you're not a rookie anymore. That's right. Councilmember Gregory.
Want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and remind you to drive around and look at all the pretty Christmas lights. We had our lighting contest, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and just to tap on that, the winner was the Dirksons on 201.
07, isn't it?
Southwind. It's the house with all the lights and has the big sign that says turn your radio to 88.1.
8.1.
And it's very, they always do a nice job of it. I always go out there every year just to watch it. They do change it up every year. And it was very, all the homes were phenomenally decorated. We were both judges. And it was really hard to make a
Yes.
decision on that. So, but Councilmember Kerstetter.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Happy Birthday.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
Councilmember Wilson.
Happy holidays as well as everyone, and can't wait for 2023.
And Councilmember Colbert.
I'd just like to pass on Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. It's been a great year for a lot of people. And if there's no further business before council, I make a motion the meeting be adjourned.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Meeting adjourned.